Okay. A warm welcome to one and all present here. It is my immense pleasure to greet you all in the spirit of awareness and knowledge, which we all seek to gain from this virtual session today. I'm your host Rajita, and it is my privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker, Ms. Advocate Meenu Padha. The session is presented by Kerala Judicial Reforms Council, which is an aegis under the National Judicial Reforms Council. We provide social legal information to people at large through our social media platforms and various sessions. As the great leader Nelson Mandela once said, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams, and I cannot think of anyone who embodies this spirit more than Advocate Meenu Padha. With her vast experience as an advocate at the High Court of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, and her commitment to social justice and women's rights, Ma'am is a true champion of change. Ma'am works as a member of various internal committees, which includes the Department of Telecommunications and Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University. She is also a national advisor for the Embark Care Foundation. Ma'am has inspired countless individuals with her passion and expertise. And today we are fortunate to have her share insights with us. So, without further ado, I'd like to hand over the virtual stage to Advocate Meenu Padha, ma'am, to share your wisdom with us.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
so much.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you so much, Rajita. Thank you so much, everyone. Or thank you so much, Kerala Judicial Reform Council, and of course, National Judicial Reform Council. Good evening, everyone. So I'm Advocate Meenu Padha. Already, Rajita have introduced me very well. I have not done anything like that, but still, thank you so much, Rajita, for this beautiful introduction. So yes, let's start with the today's topic, that is the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition, and Redressal Act of 2013. So I prepared a PPT basically. So let me read from here as well. So, sexual harassment of women at workplace is a relatively a new problem simply because women historically did not work. They stayed at home and maintained their household. Women in today's world are realizing their potential more than ever before. They are working alongside man in all fields. But this development is relatively new, so much so that people have failed to change their psyche with a similar place. Many people still view women as unequal to men, as inferior to them. Their minds are still stuck in time when the gender roles were clearly defined and those of women equal looking after the household. But this was the reality which has been changing since the past few decades. Women are no longer bound by any rules defined by society. They work, earn as much as men, and at many times even more. But sadly, this transition has not been smooth. The fact that women are empowered and should have equal rights has not gone down well with many sections of the society. They believe that women should have a subordinate position to men and should be discouraged from participating in activities that proclaim otherwise. Sexual harassment of women at workplace in one such example of this discouragement. The act of sexual harassment resonates the mindset that women are objects and should not try to prove otherwise. They are harassed, so they are discouraged from working. It hampers the ability of women to work to their full potential and win in their occupation. This practice is not confined to certain occupation or income groups. It is present everywhere. The first time when any formal guidelines related to sexual harassment were laid down in our country, India, in 1997, in the case of Vishakha and others versus state of Rajasthan, but culminated into an act very recently in December 2013 as a Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013. Though the need of this act cannot be denied, the most immediate reason behind this enactment was a Delhi gang rape of 2012 and the general increase in the number of rape cases in our country, which sparkled the public outrage like never before. The impact was such that the government was forced to form a committee. The committee name was JS Verma Committee was formed to provide solution to this problem. According to the report of this committee, the Criminal Law Amendment Act 2013 was rolled out. The Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace 2013 also followed some penalties as well. Now let's discuss the aim of this act. Just a second. So Article 14 and 15 guarantees equality to women in all aspects. Article 21 gives the fundamental right to life and liberty, including right to carry on any lawful trade or profession. The right of carrying on any lawful trade includes the safeguarding of environment of this trade and any profession. Now, the feature of this POSH Act, popularly known as POSH Act, which is Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition, Redressal Act of 2013, which makes it unique, are as follows. It broadened the scope of the definition of sexual harassment with the time. With the passage of time, the definition of sexual harassment has been widened. It covers circumstances of implied or explicit promise or threat to a women employment, prospects or creation of hostile work environment or humiliating treatment which can affect her health or safety. Sexual harassment includes any one or more of the following unwelcome acts or behavior, whether directly or indirectly, or we can say by implications as well. First is physical contact and advances. That also comes under the definition of sexual harassment. Number two is a demand or request for sexual favors, or making sexually colored remarks, or showing pornography, or any other unwelcome physical, verbal, or non verbal conduct of sexual nature. Now, this definition of aggrieved women, which has been there in the POSH Act, which says who will get this aggrieved women who will get the protection under the Act, cover all women, irrespective of her age or employment status, whether in the organized sector or unorganized sector, public or private sector, or cover clients, customer, or domestic workers as well. The second very important definition under the POSH Act is the workplace. Now, this workplace goes beyond the office setup of the employer-employee relationship, which is having more than 10% and also includes organizations, departments, offices, branch unit in the public and private sector, organized and unorganized hospitals, nursing homes, educational institutions, support institutions, stadiums, sports complex, and any other place visited by the employee during the course of employment, including the transportation as well. So workplace is not confined within the four wall. As I told you, this is a definition which is given under the POSH Act, the workplace definition. The third very important definition under this act is the employee. Now, what is employee? So employee cover any regular, any temporary, any ad hoc, daily wage employees, whether for remuneration, whether working for remuneration or not, and can also include the volunteers as well. Now, the fourth important definition is, of course, the employer. So, employer include the head of the government department, the head of the government organization, any institution, office, branch, unit, the person responsible for the management or supervision or control of the workplace, the person discharging their contractual obligation with respect to his employees and in relation to a domestic worker, the person who benefit from that employment. Now let's discuss about the procedure, how a person can file an application under the POSH Act. What is the procedure? How much time is given to the ICC, Internal Complaints Committee, to inquire the this whole case of this sexual harassment. So the procedure is basically, just a second. Let me. Now, the fourth important definition is, of course, the employer. So, employer is the head of the government department, the head of the government institution, office, branch, unit, the person responsible for the management or supervision or control. There is some network issues. Just give me a second. Okay, so we are talking about the procedure. So procedure is basically, first is the, suppose an incident of sexual harassment at workplace happened, and if there is a request from the, on behalf of a female employee, that she is saying that no, I need conciliation, I don't want to proceed further, the inquiry, the internal complaints committee can go for conciliation, right? Where it may be a written apology on behalf of the culprit, or we can say that a person who have done this sexual harassment, तो उसकी बिहाफ पे अगर एक रिटर्न वो हो जाए, अपॉलॉजी हो जाए, कभी कभी होता है कि दोनों के बीच में सॉर्ट आउट हो जाती हैं चीजें फर्दर, तो इट कैन बी लाइक दिस. Second is, if a woman is saying no, I want to proceed, I will not proceed with this conciliation, I want a proper inquiry against this person. So what is the procedure accordingly? So internal complaints committee के पास एक टाइम होता है. A written complaint has to be filed within 30 days from the date of last incident. So within 30 days from the date of last incident, the internal complaints committee has to file a written complaint. So written complaint has to be filed within 30 days. Now the procedure, 3 महीने का टाइम पीरियड है, आज से 3 मंथ्स जो है स्टार्ट हो जाएंगे, और वी कैन से दैट लास्ट डेट ऑफ इंसिडेंट, इट मे बी एनी, मतलब लास्ट डेट ऑफ इंसिडेंट, सपोज टुडे इज द लास्ट डेट, इट इज अ कंटिन्यूअस एक्ट ऑफ सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट एंड टुडे इज द लास्ट डेट ऑफ इंसिडेंट ऑफ सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट. आज से 3 महीने स्टार्ट हो जाएंगे. शी हैव टू फाइल अ कंप्लेंट विद इन 3 मंथ्स फ्रॉम द डेट ऑफ लास्ट इंसिडेंट, राइट? सो दिस इज द टाइम पीरियड. नाउ दे, अगर ये मिल जाती है, कंप्लेंट मिल जाती है, द सेकंड प्रोसीजर वुड बी द इंक्वायरी, the inquiry by the internal complaints committee. So the time period which has been given to the internal complaints committee for inquiry is 90 days. 90 days. Then they have to submit, after 90 days they have to submit a report of inquiry to the employer. So inquiry report has to be issued within 10 days from the date of completion of inquiry. So after 90 days, when after the completion of inquiry, they have to submit the whole report within 10 days after the completion of inquiry to the this executive committee, which is a higher authority. Let me give you an example. Suppose if there is a university, right, and there is an internal complaints committee, a student has said, mentioned that she has been sexually harassed by someone in the within the university campus, and she has filed the application, she has filed the complaint before the internal complaint committee. From today onwards, that is from 21st July 2024, the 3-month period will start. Within 3 months, the ICC committee have to submit the report, right? Sorry, have to complete the inquiry, and after completion of inquiry, within the 10 days, they have to submit the inquiry report to the executive committee. The executive committee in the university can be the vice chancellor of that university, that is the higher ranking officer, right? Vice chancellor may be the executive head of the this to hold the inquiry. So this is a executive committee, as I told you. So employer is required to act on the recommendation of the committee within 60 days from the receipt of the inquiry report. Suppose after 90 days, I as a member of the committee of internal complaint committee, I submitted the report. So the executive committee, which is a higher committee before the before the ICC, they have to, they have to work, they have to implement those recommendations within the 60 days of the receipt of that inquiry report. Now this there is a provision of appeal as well. Suppose if we have submitted an this inquiry report in favor of the victim, of course the accused is not going to be silent, he will definitely go for appeal. So what is the appellate authority under the POSH Act? So appeal against the decision of the internal complaints committee is allowed within 90 days of the date of recommendation. So when we submitted the recommendation to the executive committee, the accused or the victim party, if they are not satisfied with the decision, they can go for the court of appeal. The court of appeal against the report of inquiry committee is the high court of that concerned state. I am living in Jammu and Kashmir. Suppose if I submitted this inquiry report in favor of the victim but against the accused person, the accused has a right to challenge that this inquiry report before the J&K High Court through the writ of mandamus or the writ of certiorari, right? Okay. So the employee has to report the incident of sexual harassment within 3 months. To conduct an inquiry, the internal complaints committee and the local complaints committee are formed. This ICC, which is the internal complaints committee, will be a four-member committee under the chairmanship of senior women employee of that workplace, and will include two members from amongst the employee, preferably committed to the cause of women, and has experience in social work, or we can say legal knowledge, and includes a third party member as well. That is an external member, right? It is constituted by the employer of that organization. The LCC, that is a local complaints committee, will be a five-member committee comprising of a chairperson to be nominated from amongst eminent women in the field of social work, two members of whom one at least shall be a woman to be nominated from NGOs committed to the cause of women, provided that at least one of the nominees should preferably have a background in the law or a legal knowledge. So if I will talk about some you know uh, कुछ ऐसी जो आपके पास opportunities हैं, there as a law student or as a lawyer, there are the opportunities available in so many organizations within our country for this post as well. That if you are committed to a cause of women, you can be appointed by so many organizations throughout our country as a legal member, as an external member in that committee. Like I am also working as Rajita has already told you, I have already been appointed by more than five committees in Jammu and Kashmir because I'm associated with this cause, right? So this is also a good opportunity if you are interested in the women cause, right? Okay. So, concerned officer dealing with the social welfare or women and child development shall be an ex officio member. It is constituted by district officer at district level. Usually, it is a district collector of that area, the DC, concerned DC of that area. Even nodal officer can be appointed on need basis. Non-compliance with the provision of this act shall be punishable with a fine of up to rupees 50,000, and cancellation of license or registration of business can be cancelled. Suppose if a workplace which has more than 10 employees working in their workplace, but they have not constituted any internal complaints committee within their workplace, a 50,000 penalty can be imposed against the employer. As well, a registration or license can be cancelled. But yes, you need to be aware that this can be done against that employee, that you must be aware about the same thing. Second is, in case of breach of confidentiality of the victim party, a fine of 5,000 can be imposed upon the member of the committee. Suppose I am a member in a committee and I am disclosing the identity of the victim party in front of the people, I can be penalized up to the fine of rupees 5,000 for breaching the confidentiality of that case, right? Number four, Number five, the committee must complete the inquiry within 90 days. Another option with the employee is a reconciliation. So reconciliation is totally different. When you are going for a reconciliation, of course, there is a different time period. But when you are going to conduct a proper inquiry, the proper inquiry time period is 90 days, a complete 90 days period. The ICC then gives a decision within 10 days of the completion of inquiry. Suppose today is a 21st of July 2024, uh, then 21st of August, 21st of September, 21st of October. By 21st of October, they have to complete the inquiry. And after completion of inquiry, the 10 days time period has been provided to the ICC that they have to submit the whole inquiry they have conducted within these 90 days to the executive officer of that workplace, right? Okay, so this decision can be challenged in the court of law by any of the parties dissatisfied with the decision of the ICC. As I told you, if the victim party is dissatisfied with the decision of the ICC, or the accused is dissatisfied with the decision of the ICC, they can challenge it before the High Court of that concerned state. After May 2016, these committees are known as IC and LC rather than ICC or LCC. आपने usually सुना होगा कि in these days we do not call it ICC. It will be called as IC only, not ICC. Internal committee, not internal complaints committee, and local committee, not local complaints committee. Right after 2016, it has been decided. Now, let's discuss few consequences. What can be the consequences if the inquiry report is in favor of the victim but against the accused person? So if an employee is found guilty, he may be made to pay a certain amount as compensation from his salary to the victim, right? Number two, if a complaint is found malicious, action may be instituted against the complainant as well, right? In these days, we usually see that many of the women, because of some personal grudge or any other reason, they usually file false complaint against the accused person just to settle some personal score, right? In that case, even a strict action can be taken against that woman as well for filing malicious complaint against that employee. Number three, through the Criminal Amendment Act of 2013, Section 354. Now I'm not aware actually about the recent section that is provided under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2013. But yes, under IPC it was 354A of Indian Penal Code, which covers the problem of sexual harassment. So penalty ranges from 1 year to 3 years of imprisonment, or a fine is fixed under this. Additionally, this is a duty of the employer to report such offences. If someone can tell me, if someone can mention the section under the BNS that deals with the sexual harassment penalty, that would be uh, great. Okay, so let's discuss about the criticism about this act. So this act is basically not gender neutral. If a male employee is victimized, they do not get protection under this law. Number second, the mode of victimization have not been specified in this act. So victimization may also be verbal, victimization may also be textual, physical, graphic, or electronic in the technological world like today. The procedure of filing of complaint, Section 75. Okay, Khushi, thank you so much. Section 75 of Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita. Okay, so procedure of filing of complaint, perfect. Okay. So procedure of filing of complaint is more suited for an organized sector than the unorganized sector. When an incident of sexual harassment is reported, the ICC, or we can say the IC, and the LC must be formed that tune, in turn have their own requirements. These requirements can be met with greater ease in the organized sector as compared to the unorganized sector, where the requirement cannot be met with equal ease. No penalty has been specified in this act itself, and it has been left up to the employer based on the harasser salary. So I will not disclose the identity of the victim nor the accused, but yes, in one case we have recommended to the executive committee that 5 lakh penalty should 5 lakh compensation should be provided to the victim party from the salary, from the salary of this the accused person, and they have accepted the same. So in that case, this the penalty amount has not been provided. It is up to the employer's discretion that how much penalty he want to be to be imposed upon the accused person, right? Now let's discuss about the social causes of sexual harassment at workplace. I'm not going to bore you guys more. Just a few points have been left. So the issue of sexual harassment of women at workplace came into a major limelight due to the Bhavari Devi case in the year 1992. If I would recommend to you guys to, I would recommend you guys to watch. Uh, just a second. Just a second. Okay, I'm so sorry, guys. So yes, social causes of sexual harassment at workplaces. So the issue of sexual harassment at a workplace came into a major limelight in the due to the Bhavari Devi case in the year 1992. I will recommend you guys to watch one movie that is Bhavandar, that is based on whole Bhavari Devi case. One of the finest movie I have seen. It has covered all basic details that has happened in that case, right? That is Vishakha versus state of Rajasthan. The incident unfolded the traumatic condition through which one woman has to pass even after being subjected to the heinous crime of rape. So she was gang raped in that um, area of Rajasthan. The poor functioning and passive attitude of state machineries in handling the issue was exposed. This resulted into the issuance of Vishakha guidelines, among which guidelines related to sexual harassment were also present. In landmark judgment by Supreme Court of India in the year 1997. So as many as 70 17% women have been sexually harassed at their workplace in both organized and unorganized sector. Though the underlying cause is a patriarchal mindset, there are several direct causes as well. Let's discuss those several direct causes for this sexual harassment. Number one is a power. Men view women as their property. This property is to be controlled and kept under their power. When women work, they challenge their position in the society. By sexually harassing women, they exert the power that they believe that they have over women. It is an act of showing women their place, their subordination, and establishing the superiority of men. Second is, of course, the gender stereotypes. Sexual harassment is aimed to be a reminder of women's place in the society. It shows a woman that she is entering into a domain of men, especially if we talk about the legal profession. That is completely a male dominated profession, right? We usually face such kind of activities, and we usually will see some kind of activities in within the court premises or on any legal sphere. It shows a woman that she is entering into a domain of men somewhere she's not supposed to be. Women today work everywhere, in the police, in the armed forces, in the corporate sector, and even as a daily wage earner. Even though their numbers in these professions are always less than their male counterparts, but these professions were never considered to be a women's domain. And legal profession is also one of them. A woman working as a daily wage laborer is likely to get harassed by other men because her occupation is men domain. Sexual harassment has got nothing to do with any income group. It is about a deviation from roles defined for a woman by the society. Third cause is the economic cause. Women are discouraged from working and attaining position higher than men by this too. India has only 4% women in the board of directors in public limited companies. Men hold 8640 boardroom positions and women 350 in the country's 1470 list firms. This means that only these handful women are able to realize their full potential. Various forces discourage a woman from realizing her potential. Sexual harassment is one of them. It seeks to marginalize women profession to those that pay less than a man. The fact that even though the number of women being educated is on the rise, but their income are still less than the men's, provide evidence to this effect. Women earn 62% of men's salary for equal work. This further proves that women in India remain economically inferior to men, and maintaining this position is what sexual harassment is aimed at. Now, this is very important. The fourth one, the women's mindset. The patriarchy is not limited to men only. Women in India are raised in an environment where men dominate. They, like men, have internalized patriarchy. They find themselves inferior to men, even subconsciously. Women who are sexually harassed seldom file a complaint. I have already been appointed by more than 5 committees in Jammu and Kashmir because I'm associated with this cause, right? So this is also a good opportunity if you are interested in the women cause, right? So concerned officer dealing with the social welfare or women and child development shall be an ex officio member. It is constituted by district officer at district level, usually it is district collector of that area, such as DC, concerned DC of the area. Even nodal officer can be appointed on need basis. Non-compliance with the provision of this act shall be punishable with a fine of up to rupees 50,000 and cancellation of license or registration of business can be cancelled. Suppose if a workplace which has more than 10 employees working in their workplace, but they have not constituted any internal complaints committee within their workplace, a 50,000 Yes. Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
Okay. So I'm so sorry. Maybe network issue था तो वो हो गया disconnect हो गया. Yes, you guys can ask me any question if you want.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
What I'm sorry, actually, it's having network issues. So, what is the link between the 90-day limit? What is the 90-day limit about, basically?
Sorry, what's your question? What is that? 90 days a time limit. So what is the reason behind it?
Yeah, 90 days for what? It's a limit imposed on which committee
See,
and for what?
see, we have to do inquiry. So at least we need 90 days. It is not possible. There is a procedure, right? Being a member of internal complaints committee, I will let me tell you the procedure that we usually do during inquiry. uh, First of all, we have to call the complainant. We have to record his her statement. Then we have to call the accused person. We have to record his statement. Then we have to call the this complainant's witness if there are any. We have to see if there is any evidences, maybe electronic evidence. We have to find out if there is any CCTV camera that is supporting the claim of the victim party. We have to see we have to hear the witness party also on behalf of the accused person as well. So to, there is a proper procedure like a court procedure, right? This inquiry committee has a power of civil court. If I told you, it has a power of civil court. So usually it is not possible to conduct an inquiry within 5 to 6 days because क्योंकि आपके लिए आपको you know that your recommendation can be challenged maybe by the victim party or by the accused party before the concerned high court of your state. So you have to be very vigilant, you have to be very cautious while giving your recommendation. So of course 90 days period is an appropriate period that we need as an inquiry committee to decide the matter whether it is for the victim side or for the accused side. So 90 days time is for that purpose.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So, the inquiry committee is part of the internal committee of that particular organization जहाँ पे sexual harassment हुआ है.
देखिए इंक्वायरी कमेटी से मेरा मतलब जो है वो इंटरनल कंप्लेंट कमेटी का ही है. आईसी इज द इंक्वायरी कमेटी बिकॉज आईसी इज गोइंग टू कंडक्ट द इंक्वायरी ना. जो है दो कमिटीज होती हैं. देयर इज अ mentioning of two committees in the POSH Act. First is a inquiry, this internal committee. Second is a executive committee. Executive member भी आप कह सकते हैं. जो इंटरनल कमेटी होती है उसका काम होता है पूरा इंक्वायरी करना. Sorry, I have used the word inquiry committee, but inquiry committee, by referring the inquiry committee, I mean to say the internal complaints committee, or we can say internal committee, IC. And जब 90 days का time period हो गया, when you completed the proper 90 days inquiry period, then you have to submit your recommendation to the executive committee. That is a higher officer of that workplace. As I told you, I'm giving you an example of a university. Suppose if I am a member in a university committee, the IC committee, internal complaints committee within a university, we have to conduct an inquiry within 90 days. We have to submit after 90 days. We have to submit that committee, submit that recommendation to the executive committee. Now, executive committee of that university can be the vice chancellor of that university. That is the higher officer of that university. I hope ये आपको clear हो गया होगा.
Thank you, ma'am. It's clear to me. Thank you for explaining so beautifully.
Thank you.
Last question. Ma'am, I didn't understand because there were so many network issues at my end, so I missed thoda sa. So, what is the link between the Vishaka case, the Bhavri Devi, and the POSH?
Okay. देखिए विशाखा गाइडलाइंस जो है, विशाखा इज बेसिकली एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, एक एनजीओ थी जिसने भंवरी देवी के बिहाफ पे सुप्रीम कोर्ट में एक पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट लिटिगेशन फाइल की थी. So it was a public interest litigation filed by the Vishakha organization on behalf of the Bhavari Devi. Bhavari Devi का I told you ना, Bhavandar is a movie. If you watch that movie, आपको clearly पता चल जाएगा what was a Bhavari Devi case was all about. ये एक total failure था state machinery का. Her FIR was no, she was gang raped. FIR was not lodged. जब FIR रजिस्टर्ड हो गई, उसको बहुत ही अजीब अजीब के क्वेश्चन जो है ट्रायल में पूछे गए इन फ्रंट ऑफ होल पब्लिक, राइट. तो बहुत सारी चीजों का वहां पे फेलियर देखा गया. आफ्टर दैट व्हाट हैपेंड, और जो एक्यूज थे वो भी बाद में रिहा हो गए थे, मतलब दे वर एक्विटेड. बट लेटर ऑन अ पिक्चर केम, जब विशाखा करके एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो है वो प्रोसीड करती है एंड दे फाइल्ड अ पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट लिटिगेशन बिफोर द सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया. और उस सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया में हालांकि भंवरी देवी केस को नहीं सुना गया, बट सुप्रीम कोर्ट, ऑनरेबल सुप्रीम कोर्ट ऑफ इंडिया ने एक पूरी गाइडलाइंस, लिस्ट ऑफ गाइडलाइंस दी कि वर्क प्लेस, क्योंकि शी वॉज अ वर्किंग वुमेन. वो अगर आप उसके बारे में, भंवरी देवी केस के बारे में आपने पढ़ा होगा, तो शी वॉज अ वर्किंग वुमेन. जो कि आपको पता होगा कि राजस्थान में देर आर केसेस ऑफ चाइल्ड मैरिज, राइट. वहां पे चाइल्ड मैरिज बहुत होती है. तो चाइल्ड मैरिज को रोकने के लिए अ काइंड ऑफ आशा वर्कर, और मैं कहूँ कि जो आपकी विलेज में नहीं होती है, जो स्कीम्स वगैरह के बारे में वो करती हैं, इंफॉर्मेशन देती है, they usually aware the public, aware the women about the schemes that has been implemented by government of India or by the government of state. So it was like आशा वर्कर. हमारे यहाँ पे JNK में they were usually called the आशा वर्कर्स. I don't know about the other states. So वो वहां पे काम करती थी. बट ड्यूरिंग द कोर्स ऑफ हर एम्प्लॉयमेंट, जब वो एम्प्लॉयमेंट के दौरान शी वॉज गैंग रेप्ड बाय सम पीपल, जो जो देवर यू नो, जो ये होता है ना कि हायर स्ट्राटा के लोग थे, उनका जो मैं कहूंगी कि भंवरी देवी जो थी, शी बिलोंग टू शेड्यूल कास्ट कैटेगरी. लेकिन वो जो लोग थे वो इससे मतलब कुछ पर्सनल ग्रज को लेके उस पे आ गए थे, एंड शी वाज गैंग रेप्ड बाय दैट पीपल, बाय दैट पर्सन्स. उसके बाद भंवरी देवी का केस इसीलिए विशाखा से कनेक्टेड है. विशाखा एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है. विशाखा इज एन एनजीओ दैट हैज फाइल्ड public interest litigation and mentioned the Bhavari Devi case before the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Supreme Court of India ने जो guidelines दी, that was known as Vishakha guidelines. And 2013 में, क्योंकि there was not any specific act that deals with workplace sexual harassment before the Vishakha guidelines. So because दिल्ली का जो रेप केस हुआ वो 2012 में हुआ, तो we do not have any law, we did not have any law that particularly deals with the sexual harassment at workplace. So in the year 2013 government of India came with this PoSH act, जो क्योंकि उससे पहले विशाखा गाइडलाइन थी, बट 13 के बाद, 2013 के बाद ये स्पेसिफिक लॉ जो बनाया गया कि जब सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट विद इन वर्क प्लेस होगी तो प्रोसीजर क्या रहेगा. सो दिस इज अ यू नो, ये इनका तीनों का आपस में कनेक्शन है. दिस इज अ कनेक्शन बिटवीन द विशाखा, Bhavri Devi and the PoSH Act.
Understood, ma'am. Thank you.
Right? Okay. Yes.
Participants may raise your hands to ask some questions.
Ma'am, if there is a false complaint made in Post Act, are there punishments to keep them at bay?
Sir, if a false complaint has been made under PoSH Act, what is the usually we do as a member of Internal Complaints Committee here in Jammu and Kashmir, we ask for a written apology on behalf of that victim to submit it to the that workplace. And there are some penalties that can be imposed by the Internal Complaint Committee against that lady. Now it is upon the discretion of the IC only. We can let her go, no, it's okay, but next time don't do that, right? Either we can say that you will be penalized, you have to uh, uh, you have been imposed a fine of rupees 50,000, right? Or we can tell her to file a written apology to that person. These are few things that can be done by IC. But अगर मैं बात करूँ, if I talk about the accused person, he can take a proper criminal action against that lady and file a defamation suit if he want to proceed further with the, because obviously if you are going to file a criminal complaint, if you are going to file a sexual harassment complaint against someone, of course his reputation is going to be uh, hampered. So he can take action against that lady by filing a defamation suit before the criminal court, trial court.
Thanks, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Thanks.
hello.
Yes.
What penalties can be imposed on an employer for non-compliance with the POSH Act?
I told you now it is 50,000 penalty amount, 50,000.
50,000,
And
right?
yes, 50,000. But yes, you can check if there is any amendment in the act. But the last I visited is 50,000 penalty can be imposed. Along with that, a license can also be cancelled. Suppose if he is running an organization or if is a workplace license, that also can be cancelled.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. So, am I audible? No?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So, I had a doubt. Like you mentioned in the criticism of the act that it's not gender neutral, right? So, my question was, in such a situation, what other the responsibility of the organization becomes so important at that point, right? So, is there any civil remedy or any other way we can like access uh, the relief. So if the IC and the Act itself doesn't protect, say, transgender people or men or something like that, so what would be the solution there in that case?
Okay. So you are saying if a man is a victim of sexual harassment in a workplace, what remedy he can seek? Am I correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
See, there are few high courts. I'm not able to recall the citation or title of the case, but there are few high courts who have mentioned that this POSH Act is a gender neutral. They have mentioned that even a male can file a complaint against a woman in the internal complaints committee. But because this judgment is not passed by the Honorable Supreme Court of India, so it will not be followed by the all over India, right? But there are few judgments. Along with that, if there are cases of sexual harassment against a man, of course he can file a criminal complaint before the nearest judicial magistrate in your area. You can file a criminal complaint against that lady or against that person, any person, whoever it is. You can file a criminal complaint against that and uh, proceed accordingly. But as per POSH Act, because it is not gender neutral, as I told you, so you cannot rely on that High Court judgment. Suppose if, for example, if it is a Kerala High Court judgment that they are saying that the POSH Act is a gender neutral, and I am filing a complaint on behalf of a man in Jammu and Kashmir. So it is not mandatory for a JNK to follow the Kerala High Court judgment, right? But yes, if it will be passed by the Honorable Supreme Court of India, then it should be mandatorily filed throughout the country. But till then, you can proceed with a criminal complaint against that lady.
One more thing I want to like ask you is that since the new criminal laws came out, the criminal complaint approach at least because Section 377 was read down, right? And when it came to sexual harassment, rape case and everything, I mean rape case and all, it would like the read down version would apply. Like it would only apply to men, homosexual people when it is without consent. But now because under the new BNS there is no equivalent provision, there's a whole gap right there, right? So in that scenario, then won't that also like be there's nothing else to fill in that lacuna in the law, right?
See, it cannot be like ऐसा तो I don't think it is possible that there is a no provision in the BNS. Uh, Although I have not read it thoroughly yet, but it is not possible. I think there cannot be any provision for men as well in the BNS. क्योंकि मुझे तो लग रहा है कि BNS में definitely there will be any provision specifically जो gender neutral होगा. I don't think it is possible कि क्योंकि हाउ इज इट, मतलब अभी तो टाइम ही ऐसा है कि जहाँ पे स्पेशली इफ वी टॉक अबाउट द मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटीज, देयर वी आर सेइंग दैट so many women are misusing the law, and we cannot deny this fact. I'm not talking about the rural India or the other states, but yes, if we talk about the metro cities or the big cities, we are seeing that men women are actually misusing law. So it is not possible ki there is not any mention of in the BNS any gender neutral provision or any provision that will help men. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I have not go through it thoroughly. But ऐसा possible नहीं है मेरे ख्याल में कि BNS में कोई भी provision नहीं है gender neutral. I
No,
think there
sure,
are
ma'am.
some
And if
yeah,
anybody else could also comment on that, like please reply if anybody else has an idea.
that,
But
that would be
I,
helpful. Yes.
May I?
yeah, sure.
In the UGC, this PoSH Act, we don't have this gender neutrality area in that, right? But if you see the UGC regulation of 2015, even a male student or a third gender student can make a complaint, if he suffers from sexual harassment. So UGC regulation is gender neutral in that sense.
No,
It is
this is
applicable
all
to the universities and colleges.
absolutely throughout country, right? पूरे yes, पूरे इंडिया में यूजीसी की
तो
जितनी
मैम
भी यूनिवर्सिटीज हैं वो फॉलो. यस
हेलो मैम.
यस हेलो.
मैम मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि हम कितनी कमेटीज में एज एन एक्सटर्नल मेंबर ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं? इज देयर एनी स्पेसिफिक लिमिट?
देखिए स्पेसिफिक लिमिट नहीं है. मैं अभी 5 में हूँ, तो स्पेसिफिक
ओके.
लिमिट आई डोंट थिंक देयर इज एनी स्पेसिफिक लिमिट टू जॉइन एनी कमेटी. मुझे लगता है बहुत सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं. आप मैं एक बार ये कहूंगी कि दिल्ली में आप ज्वाइन कर लीजिए एक कमेटी, बड़ी बड़ी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, यू कैन अप्लाई फॉर द सेम. अगर आप इस
मैम
कॉज को लेकर
एक्चुअली
जी
एज if we are working as an whole time employee, then is there any problem if we join multiple other organizations taking it as a part time gig opportunity?
इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन योर वर्क प्लेस. अगर वो अलाउ नहीं कर रहे हैं, लाइक उनकी गाइडलाइंस में स्पेसिफिकली मेंशन है कि आप जब तक यहाँ पे काम कर रहे हैं यू कैन नॉट एसोसिएट विद एनी अदर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. दैट डिपेंड्स. बट बीइंग अ प्रैक्टिसिंग
Okay.
लॉयर वहां पे कोई आपको वो नहीं है. मतलब बीइंग अ प्रैक्टिसिंग लॉयर देयर इज नॉट एनी बार कि यू कैन नॉट ज्वाइन एनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन लाइक दैट. यू कैन बी पार्ट ऑफ सो मेनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और उसके साथ साथ आप
Ma'am,
प्रैक्टिस भी कर सकते.
I am a company secretary.
सॉरी आपकी वॉइस बेटा
I
क्लियर
am
नहीं है.
company. Ma'am, I am a company secretary.
कंपनी सेक्रेटरी. ओके सो
Oh,
यू
yes.
हैव टू सी द रूल्स जो उधर फॉलो किए जाते हैं कंपनी सेक्रेटरीज के लिए, सीएस के लिए. यू हैव टू सी द रूल्स इफ देयर इज एनी बार, बट आई डोंट थिंक दैट नीड. मतलब मुझे नहीं लगता कि कोई भी बार होगा इसके लिए, क्योंकि एक्सटर्नल मेंबर्स अपॉइंट ही यही लोग किए जाते हैं, दोस्त हु आर लीगली, मतलब वो कहते हैं ना जो
Yes.
लीगल बैकग्राउंड से हैं या सोशल वर्क बैकग्राउंड
हाँ,
से,
legal
यही लोग तो
secretary.
अपॉइंट किए जाते हैं. तो आई डोंट थिंक इसमें कोई बाहर होगा.
ओके मैम, मेरा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन ये है कि आप कुछ एनजीओज रिकमेंड कर दीजिए हमें जो इस फील्ड में वर्क कर रहे हों और हम उनसे एसोसिएट हो सकें.
ओके सो पहले तो यही जो आपकी वाली है ये भी बहुत अच्छे से काम कर रही है. उसके बाद
जी.
ओके सो रजिता इज सेइंग वी विल टेक 2 मोर क्वेश्चंस. तो मैं आपको बहुत ब्रीफली बताती हूँ. देयर आर फ्यू एनजीओज. अगर आप चाइल्ड कॉज पे काम करते हैं, कैलाश सत्यार्थी जी की ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है बचपन बचाओ आंदोलन
हाँ
करके,
जी.
दैट
हाँ
इज अ
जी. हाँ
बेस्ट
जी.
पार्ट. यूएन वुमेन का भी अगर आप पार्ट बन सकते हैं, यूएन वुमेन इंडिया का, तो वो भी एक बहुत अच्छी
ओके.
अपॉर्चुनिटीज है. बीच बीच में वॉलंटियर्स के लिए और बहुत सारे अपॉर्चुनिटीज वो ओपन करता है. तो यूएन वुमेन का आप पार्ट बन सकते हैं. आई थिंक दैट इज अ बेस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. यूएन वुमेन इंडिया का पार्ट बनना इज, इससे बड़ी मेरे ख्याल में बड़ी चीज कोई नहीं होगी. तो गो फॉर इट अगर इसके लिए कुछ हो सकता है. बाकी लिंक्डइन पे मैं हूँ, तो आई विल पोस्ट व्यू ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. आई हैव टू चेक कि कुछ रेलेवेंट सोर्सेज से मैं अच्छी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन,
मैम,
तो मैं पोस्ट कर दूंगी. यू गाइस कैन गो थ्रू इट.
आप अपने हैंडल्स का लिंक दे दीजिए या ईमेल आईडी सो
हाँ,
दैट वी
मेरा
कैन
मीनू
रिमेन कनेक्टेड।
मीनू पादा ही है, MWNUPADHA करके ही मेरा
मैम
लिंक्डइन का वो है, उसमें मैं बहुत एक्टिव हूँ, तो
टाइप
आप लोग
कर
वहाँ पे
दीजिए।
जाके फॉलो कर सकते
मैम टाइप कर दीजिए चैट बॉक्स में।
हो। मैं अपना लिंक ही यहाँ पे
या थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू सो मच।
Ma'am, we have another question from the YouTube session, which is, if a man files a complaint, a sexual harassment case, will it be the same statutory punishment and can be considered for awarding punishment to women as well?
सॉरी रजिता, मैं डिस्कनेक्ट हो गई थी, कैन यू प्लीज रिपीट इट अगेन द
Yeah, sure.
क्वेश्चन?
Yes. So, if a man files a complaint, a sexual harassment case will be the same statutory punishment and can it be considered for awarding punishment to women as well? This is a question which is posted on the YouTube live session.
ओके, सो आई थिंक इट शुड बी, मैं होना तो चाहिए, बट अगेन इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द IC to IC. Yes, I will share my handle. Just let me answer this first. It's मीनू पादा. मैंने जैसे ही वो हैंडल का वो करने की कोशिश की तो आई डिस्कनेक्टेड, दैट इज व्हाई आई एम नॉट राइटिंग इट नाउ. बट रजिता नोज, तो रजिता अगर आप पोस्ट कर लेंगे दैट वुड बी ग्रेट हेल्प. रजिता, you know
Sure,
you
ma'am.
were
We'll send
connected
it
with me.
after the section. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yes, that's depends upon the IC to IC. Some IC will of course take the strong action against that women, uh, right? But some will not. It depends upon the discretion of the IC. So ये मैं ये नहीं कह सकती कि वो करना चाहिए, बट हाँ, अगर सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट हुई है ऑन बिहाफ ऑफ women against a man, so they should also take a similar action against that women like a man. But unfortunately हम ये चीजें देखने को नहीं मिलते हैं. तभी मैं कह रही हूँ कि जेंडर न्यूट्रल होना कानून बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि जेंडर न्यूट्रल होंगे तो तभी चीजें जो है इक्वल बेसिस पे हो पाएंगी. अभी तो फिलहाल वी यूजुअली प्रेफर की लेट हर गो, लेट हर फाइल एन अपॉलॉजी एंड लेट हर गो. तो ऐसा कोई सस्पेंशन वगैरह का प्रोविजन होना चाहिए, सो दैट शी विल ऑल्सो लर्न अ लेसन. अगर मेन के अगेंस्ट हम एक्शन ले सकते हैं तो वुमेन के अगेंस्ट क्यों नहीं? एंड इट विल ऑल्सो हेल्प टू
Like,
कर्ब मैलिशियस फाइलिंग, ऑल्सो मैलिशियस जो फाइलिंग होती है complaints की, it will also curb this situation as well if we take the similar action against women as we usually take against men. You can go
since we're
how to
moving
get
towards the session, I would like, yeah. Since we're moving towards the end of the session, I would like to confirm if there is any more questions.
someone is asking about the LC details. So if you want to know the details about the LC in your area, you can go to the DC office. District collector का जो office होता है, deputy collector का, sorry, you can go to that place. And क्योंकि DC is the main person, deputy collector is the main person who will you know, who is responsible for this local committee formation. So yes.
When life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. This phrase has often been used to encourage optimism for all those who face struggles. But what it does not focus upon is the hardships and the mental harm that such hurdles tend to cause. When we talk about the sexual harassment at workplace, we see forth and applaud how they have overcome the obstacles by society, while we do not pay attention to the mental well being of those who have faced it. Ma'am has wonderfully explained all those concepts. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us and explaining about the whole concept of POSH and giving us the practical realities about it. Participants are requested to look into the chat box and fill the feedback form to get your certificates. The link will be active for the next 10 minutes.
Thank you so much, Rajita. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Nice to meet you. And I hope आपको link मिल गया होगा LinkedIn का. So yes, please keep in touch with
Requesting
me.
Payal to take over for the, requesting
Thank
Payal to take over for the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Ranjita. Good evening to one and all present here. On behalf of KJRC, it's my honor to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks at the conclusion of today's insightful webinar on POSH Act. First and foremost, I would like to express our profound gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Advocate Meena Padha ma'am, for her invaluable contribution. Her depth of knowledge, clarity of explanation, and practical insights has provided us with a comprehensive understanding of POSH Act. Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us and for your unwavering commitment to this vital cause. I would also like to thank our participants for their active engagements and thoughtful questions. Your commitment to learning and implementing the principle of POSH Act in your respective organization is truly commendable. Lastly, a big thanks to our President and Vice President, Ms. Indulekha and Hiba ma'am, for continuously guiding us. Our host of today, Ms. Ranjita Singh, and our technical head, Ms. Harshita. And lastly, the backbone of the event, our organizing committee, for their meticulous planning, execution, and ensuring the smooth conduct of this webinar. Your hard work behind the scheme has made today's event a grand success. Once again, thank you all for being a part of this enlightening session. Have a great day ahead. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. I hope the feedback form is accessible. You can please access that. I will be posting it once again for you. The feedback form will be active for the next 10 minutes. Please drop a message in case you will find any difficulties filling in the form.